I feel really bad for Korimori at this point. That was that was quite a... I mean, I don't blame him. I would have ran. I would have ran. I really would have ran. But yeah, a lot more of Kiyomori's issues in this episode of Heike story. We're at episode 6 at this point, but yeah, pretty much opens up with them all moving to Fukuhara. We find out it seems like they're essentially moving their entire city over there. They're talking about the fact that if they don't move, they're seen as opposing Heike, like tear down your house and get moving with them. Otherwise, you're possibly opposing them, which is really kind of screwed up. But yeah, we kind of get this whole perspective of them moving to Fukuhara, upheaving everything, uprooting, and moving to this port town. It was nice because we actually get this perspective that Biwa actually looks older, finally. Like, we're finally shedding the Bart Simpson syndrome at this point. But it was interesting because we kind of cut over to Tokuko, and she is taking care of Takakura, who apparently has fallen ill. And it's a really cool scene because this entire time we've always had this perspective of Takakura really mistreating Tokuko. And in this moment, she's actually the one that's there at his side, taking care of him as he's ill. And even mentions the fact that he's grateful that she's actually visiting his father. Like, his father's obviously exiled, and she's still taking time to go there and take care of him as well. And he mentions the fact that he's really grateful for her taking care of him this entire time. She came to him at such a young age. He admired her beauty. He was embarrassed of himself because he didn't know much about the world, but she's always kind of been there to guide him. From here, we find out that apparently Kiyomori is calling for Biwa, which everybody freaks out about. It was funny because, like, both Korimori and Tsukimori both show up with her, because they're afraid that what Kiyomori's going to do to Biwa, because he's already expressed that he wanted her. So it's just kind of this really unfortunate scene. But now he's like, what are you guys expecting? I mean, all I want was her to play some music that she played for Shigemori. But yeah, she starts playing this music, and we get this little perspective of Kiyomori and his perspective of how they built the nation. He talks about the fact that, Shigemori never shrunk whenever he spoke to him. And before they kind of went about what they were doing, the nobles and the priests ruled the land. And he wanted to change that. He sought to change it to be more about wealth, and that wealth was the power. Building wealth and might was the thing that they wanted, and this is what he was, I guess, expecting to do with his port town. But an episode wouldn't be complete without some sort of conflict, so today we essentially have the son of Mochihito. Apparently, this guy brings the skull of Mochihito to his son and says, hey, here's your son. He was seeking to bring down the Heike, and you need to continue his wish. And oh, by the way, here's a letter from Go Shirakawa, and Go Shirakawa is talking about how Kiyomori is over here and ignoring the court, so now it's the time to rise up and drive back the Heike, who was the enemy of the court. Which Kiyomori is really upset about, but as they're mentioning, hey, look, it's okay because this Yoritomo guy, which is the son of Mochihito, already has engaged the Heike and was taken out. Like, he tried already and he got wiped out really quickly. But there's a fear of him getting off into the Genji, and the Genji supporting and rallying behind him. And so Kiyomori decides to send Korimori off with his soldiers to head him off, basically. And he's doing this in hopes that Korimori will see success, and that he will be the next person behind his father, Shigemori, to have a name for himself. So he sends him out there, and as they're kind of camping out and waiting, they come to find out there's 200 riders coming their direction. And Korimori only has 70,000 riders. And as Korimori's like, should we be afraid? I mean, what is the Genji like? This veteran's like, apparently had rode with the Genji before, and he starts explaining what the Genji are, and he's talking about how if their children and wives fall before them, they'll ride over them. Like, their arrows pierce multiple plates of armor. And he's saying all this stuff to scare the hell out of them because he believes that the soldiers of Heike have grown soft. And so he's trying to, I guess, instill fear upon them so they get stronger. But this actually works against them, as in the middle of the night, all the lights kind of start, they see all the torches in the distance, and they're like, man, that's 200,000 riders. They fear that they're coming to invade in the middle of the night because a bunch of birds start flying off. And so they think they're being, chased down in the middle of the night. And so they all get up and just run. They all just flee. And obviously, Kiyomori is really upset about this because they literally just ran away from a bunch of birds. They didn't run away from the soldiers. The Genji comes up and they're like, wait, where'd they go? Where'd they go? Kiyomori's a little mad. He claims that he wants this soldier that was, essentially heading him as a second man for strategy, to be executed, and he wants Korimori to be exiled. But thankful to them, they have some people at their side. They're like, look, we can't do that. Kiyomori, no, we can't do that. Korimori is still young. He can still be, he can still achieve great things, and this guy has done so much for us. We can't execute him. So despite Korimori being spared, it still weighs heavy on him. Like, this is what he's going to be known for, the guy that ran away from birds. So he's out there basically training. He's very frustrated. Biwa ends up running into him, and Biwa asks if he would dance for her, and he's like, no more dancing. I'm gonna get stronger. And that's a really huge turning point for Korimori. Now, I don't know the history of it, and I'm not sure if this is something that goes into a really stronger story, but Korimori has always been the weakling. He's always been the person at the side that's always the wine bag. He's always been the scaredy cat. And so, yeah, it would be really cool to have a turning point for his character, to see him actually rise up and do something incredible, to live up to the name of his father, which is Shigemori. We'll have to wait and see. The other interesting thing that happened this episode is at some point we had Tokoko was there, obviously at this port town now, with her baby, and her baby's very upset about the waves. So it's already pretty much flagging this baby knows something bad's going to happen. And obviously, Biwa has seen the vision of Tokoko and her child being taken away by the sea. It's also interesting to see that even though Go Shirakawa is like in exile and stuff and locked up, he's still apparently getting letters out to people. Now, I don't know if that was insinuating that he did write that or that this guy forged it, but I would assume he probably still gets letters out. There also seems like they're insinuating that Kiyomori is having these nightmares, these ghosts that are coming to him in the middle of the night. I wasn't sure, again, if that was a case where that was a story that this kid was telling, that I think it was Tsukimori was telling, or if it was something that was happening at that time. But it does seem like he wanted Biwa to come in to play these tales or these songs in order to drive away these ghosts that are kind of obviously tormenting him. So yeah, really two crucial parts in this episode, just kind of following essentially the growth, hopefully, of Korimori, and obviously seeing Tokoko finally get some sort of appreciation. I always felt bad for her, and to have Takakura finally kind of acknowledge Tokoko is really great. I don't know if this is the death point for Takakura, because obviously he seems to be ill, and being ill at those times is really bad. But we'll see. But that's, yeah, a solid episode. Really good episode. Like I said, I feel really bad at the end of it, but hopefully it's a really good growing point for the characters. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on Heike Story Episode 6. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of the episode. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share this video if you can. Support us on Patreon if you can. We definitely appreciate everybody that does. If you like, there's a tip button in the description where you can help us directly. And y'all take care.